Hi, welcome. I'm Bonnie, and today I wanted to share with you what my favorite trails were that I hiked in the year of 2021. I hiked over 208 miles, climbed over 58,000 feet, and hiked 38 trails. And I wanted to share with you what my favorites were this year that I explored. I also have several of my family members, my hiking partners, who also are going to share what their favorite trails were because we have differing opinions. Also, this is going to be quite biased because I definitely have a bias towards certain types of trails. So this is going to be very personal and, subject to a lot of opinion. Also, a lot of the trails that I'm going to talk about, I have videos for on the channel. So if you want to learn more about them and see them, you can go and check them out. I'll have them linked in the description, or I'll try to. So for this list, I limited myself to picking my top 5 trails. This was extremely difficult, but I feel pretty good about it. There were some that were absolutely going to be in the top, and then I hiked so many great trails this year, it was kind of hard to pick like those bottom 2, but I think I have a pretty good list. But first I want to start with honorable mentions, ones that would have made the top 5, if I had a larger list, we're looking at like the top 8. And so the first of those honorable mentions is the Skyline Trail up to Panorama Point at Mount Rainier National Park. This was a gorgeous trail. We went during wildflower season at Mount Rainier National Park, and the wildlife viewing was fantastic. We saw marmots, we saw chipmunks, and we saw so many birds. It's an absolutely beautiful trail, and it gets you up close and personal with Mount Rainier, which is never a bad thing. The next honorable mention would be Snow and Gem Lake. This is a beautiful 2 alpine lake feature trail. I absolutely loved it. It lost a few points because this trail can get quite crowded, but it is a gorgeous trail up at Snoqualmie Pass featuring 2 gorgeous alpine lakes. And finally, my last honorable mention is Gothic Basin. This is the one that almost made it into the top 5. And this one was special for me because this was actually the first hike I had done with my husband where it was just the 2 of us. We've obviously hiked together, but it was in larger groups. So that made it more special, and also it is a truly magical place. You hike into this gorgeous stone basin that's filled with all of these beautiful meadows and tarns. It's absolutely beautiful and worth the 9-mile and almost 3,000 elevation gain hike. So now I will share with you my top 5. I'm obviously going to save the best for last, so you have to stay tuned. My fifth place, this one was the hardest one for me to pick, but is Minotaur Lake and Lake Theseus. This trail was hard. If you've seen the video, this trail was hard, but oh my goodness, the payoff was absolutely gorgeous. My favorite part by far was the ridge overlooking Lake Theseus, and I think this was special for me because it is a place I had dreamed of going for so long. I felt so alone. It feels remote and just such a quiet and peaceful place to appreciate just the heart of the Cascades. In number 4, I have Lake Anne at Esmeralda Basin. It is definitely a little bit cheating to put large hikes, but I'm sorry. This one is a large hike, and me and my sister hiked this in October to see the beautiful golden larches. But this trail took me by surprise. I was just stunned by the absolute beauty of the basin and the views from up top when you gain that ridge. It is amazing. And not only that, it's not as popular, and so we really had this magical place all to ourselves. The golden larches didn't hurt at all as well for giving this one points, and the lake itself was a really unique color. I am a sucker for alpine lakes, which is why many of these on my list feature alpine lakes and tarns. That is my huge bias. But now, before we get into my next picks, I am going to show you what my sister, who was a frequent climbing partner of mine this year, thought of the trails that she explored.
So these are my top 3 hikes from 2021. For number 3, I would say it would have to be Monte Cristo, because even though the trail wasn't the most fun and it was very rocky, the scenery just in the valley was really pretty, and we went on a nice day, and all of the old artifacts and those features were cool to see. For number 2, I have Lake Anne, because we went at the time of year to see the larches, which is a really special experience, and the lake was really pretty, and the trail was nice too. I had fun hiking it. And then for number 1, I would have to have the Skyline Trail to Panorama Point at Mount Rainier. I think if you've ever been there, you know why. It's one of those places that just feels magical, and it was just a fun hike to do. And then 2 honorable mentions I wanted to say are the Grove of the Patriarchs and the Hobbit Trail, because they're not exactly hikes, but I think they're definitely worth going to.
In the number 3 spot is Lake Blanca. Lake Blanca was really special for me for a few reasons. First, it is a lake, I think I've had this on my bucket list for hiking for the longest. Of all the places I wanted to go in the entire state, Lake Blanca was at the top. The second reason is it was my first ever solo hike. I got into solo hiking this year, and this trail confirmed for me, just my first time out, that it is something I absolutely love to do and will be doing more. This really kicked off that enjoyment of trails. It was just so beautiful because I also had the trail all to myself, perfect sunrise, and not only that, this lake is gorgeous. It's massive and it has a very unique color as far as alpine lakes goes. The meadows are gorgeous, the entire trail is beautiful. Blanca Lake is really hard to beat when it comes to alpine lakes, so I'll tell you what. In my number 2 spot, this probably isn't going to come as a big surprise, and that would be Maple Pass Loop. There is a reason this trail is one of the most popular trails in the state, and oh my goodness, the trip I took with my husband up to see this in the North Cascades really showed me why. We went up there for larch season, so we got to see all of the beautiful golden larches in their prime, but this hike has you up in the alpine from the start. It features a beautiful alpine lake, but the views, I don't think I've gotten better views all year, except maybe for one. The 360 panoramic views of gorgeous 8,000 foot peaks around you just make this hike jaw-dropping. If you like mountain views, this is absolutely one of the best trails in the state. Not only that, it isn't really that difficult. And so you start in the alpine, gorgeous views, gorgeous lake, golden larches. It's really hard to beat this trail. So Maple Pass Loop. This trail was also my husband's favorite. He came on quite a few trails with me this year as well, and he said Maple Pass Loop, hands down, his favorite trail. But now, before we get into my number 1 trail of the year, here is my brother, another one of my hiking partners, and his favorite trails of 2021.
I am Ben, and I will be telling you my top 3 favorite hikes of 2021. To start, we will be doing one honorable mention, because I did want to mention this hike because I very much like it. Cherry Creek Falls is a very easy hike, but I really enjoyed it. Has some very nice scenery at the very end and is a very easy hike. So to start the list with number 3, we have Talapis and Olali Lakes. We went to this one in June, so when we got to the top, there was, when we got to the second lake, there was a lot of snow, which was very cool. The lake was even frozen. The first lake, which was a little bit lower down, didn't have any snow, but it was also a beautiful lake. It was a little bit steep at first, but it isn't a very hard hike by my standard, and it was very fun. Number 2 on the list is Grove of the Patriarchs, which is on Mount Rainier. It is also a very easy hike, very flat the entire way, but it is very cool. Massive, really cool trees, very lush area, and it has a rope bridge. It's very nice. Then number 1 on the list is also on Mount Rainier. It is the Skyline Trail to Panorama Point. It's almost unfair putting it on this list because it has so much. It has wildflowers, it has amazing close-up view of Mount Rainier, it has great views in the distance. We could even see Mount St. Helens from where we were. It was very nice, and like we saw a ton of marmots. So like if you go there, you're almost guaranteed to see one. It was very nice.
But now, the moment you've all been waiting for, my number 1 trail of 2021. It really wasn't much of a choice for me, and that would be Mount St. Helens via Monitor Ridge. This year I did something that I never really thought I would do, and that would be climb one of Washington's volcanoes. And I climbed my favorite one, which is Mount St. Helens, our most active volcano, the one that erupted in 1980. And Monitor Ridge route is a pretty intense hike, climbing up 2 miles of boulders, climbing up another mile of ash to get to the top of the crater. But it is so worth it. The views second to none, and getting to see an active volcano up close, getting to see the lava dome steaming, also getting to see one of the United States' newest growing glaciers is found in Mount St. Helens. It's really not an experience you can duplicate with other trails. It was just kind of not fair to some of the other ones. But my climbing partner, my other brother, who does not like to be on film, also this was his favorite trail by like miles this year. And I think it is just because it really doesn't compare climbing one of the Cascade volcanoes. It's just an amazing experience, and if you're up for it, I highly, highly recommend taking this route. So that's it. That is my and some of my family members' favorite hiking trails we explored in the year of 2021. I have a lot of very exciting adventures planned for 2022, so you can subscribe to follow along and see what kind of trouble we get ourselves into here in the beautiful state of Washington. Thank you so much for watching, and here are some of my favorite photos that I took over the course of 2021. Enjoy.